Hi, I'm Wanda with Jimmy Branch Homestead, and today I'm going to show you how to preserve eggs 3 ways. Good morning. Today we're going to be water glassing eggs, and I'll show you step by step. They are unwashed. You cannot wash the bloom off or it will not work. They will not keep. Also make sure they don't have any chicken poop on them. It will contaminate the eggs. So only clean, unwashed eggs go in the jar. We have Easter egger chickens and barred rocks. That's why I have so many different colors. The barred rocks are beige. That one might be iffy. That one's good. Yeah, that one's got a little on it. So that's a no-no. All right, let's go to the next carton. Looks like several of these might not be able to be. That was just bedding stuck on it. Yeah, a lot of them in this one has got something on them. That one looks good. Tiny bit on it. This, I think it might be thinner there for the coloring, so I'm not going to put it in just to make sure. I love the different colors. Don't have to color them at Easter time. Oh, that one's not. That one's got loopy on it. That one's good. See, when I say 2, 8, okay, that's 3 dozen. We're going to call it right there. And that fills it pretty full. As you can see all the way around. Okay, let's put these to the side. I'll combine these here in a little bit and get rid of them. Not get rid of them. I'll show you another way to preserve them. Okay, so this is pre-measured. You have to weigh it. It's 4 ounces of pickling lime powder. Make sure it's food grade lime. And I'm going to mix it with cold water and then dump it over all the eggs. I'm just filling up over here. I've already put the lime in the pitcher. It's very light powder, so it's very dusty. You can kind of see it's kind of coming up out of it. Oh, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not. But the water's turning milky as I get it mixed in here. This will separate as it sits in the jug, Don't worry about that. It will sink to the bottom. It will still be fine. You don't want to try and remix it. You know, as it settles, just leave it. And this will preserve and hold the eggs for several months through the winter. So my reason for doing this is the eggs do not lay, or the chickens do not lay as many eggs during the winter months as the light fades. My chickens are currently still laying pretty well, and we're in December, so that's awesome. But a couple days ago I only got 2. Yesterday I got 8. I have 8 laying hens. So 8 out of 8's awesome. Okay, so I've mixed up the lime, and this is what it looks like. It kind of almost looks like a skim milk. And then I'm going to take it back over to the counter where the eggs are. There we go. See if I can keep from dumping this all over me. There we go. Perfect. See, filling that up with eggs and mixing it in a 2-quart pitcher makes a perfect batch of water-glassed eggs. So now I'll just put the lid on this, set it in on my pantry shelf, and that's where it will stay until I'm ready to use them. And I won't be using them again until my hens pretty much quit laying eggs. But the second method, and I'm going to show you today, is freeze drying. So I do water glass eggs, but I also freeze dry a lot of eggs. So we're going to kind of get on that, and I'll show you how that's done. I'm just going to kind of get some of the air bubbles out. That looks like it's getting them. And that's all there is to water glass and eggs. So I'll get ready to set up to do the preserving of the freeze drying eggs, and I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Just a moment for you. So as I promised, I'm going to show you another way to preserve eggs, and that is by freeze drying. So all those eggs that had a little bit of dirt on them or residue that I could not water glass, I'm going to freeze dry. So the first 18 are in the sink. I'm going to go ahead and get those scrubbed up, and then I'll get back with you. We have all of these yet to scrub up as well. So basically I can do 3 dozen, let's see, 6 dozen at a time, because I have the medium freeze dryer and mine's older, so it only has the 4 trays. I have not upgraded it. I don't have any problems with it. So other than just being able to add a tray, which in the summertime I might have to think about that because I do a ton of freeze drying in the summer, but I do quite a bit in the winter too, just different things. So let me get these washed up, and then I'll get back with you and show you how I prepare them for the freeze dryer. Okay, I've washed eggs, the first round of them. I have 18 eggs here. I'm going to crack them into my bowl, and I like to use my large 8-cup measure cup because it has a spout. Makes it much easier when I'm pouring it into the trays. And I have another tray in the freezer. It's very difficult to fill the tray because you fill it clear full and then try and make it to the freezer without slopping it all over. I do have covers, but they're not liquid tight. So the covers are more meant to put on them to be able to stack them in freezing. So let's just get these broken. Oh, just a minute. Let me grab a little ramekin. I like to break them into a ramekin and then pour them in. Yes, it's more work, but if I end up with eggshells, it's a lot easier to get out of this than this full of eggs. Okay. So now I just take my immersion blender and blend them up. Make sure it's down in there far enough so it don't splash all over you. And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. So then I take this over to the freezer. I'll try and take you with me. Let's see if we can see it. Oops, I'm going to grab a lid.
So far, is that right? And what month and year was that? January 1st, 2017. And when she came to live with you, was there a rent agreement?
And then I put them in here and then I pour it in because, like I said, otherwise I've made a heck of a mess all over the place. All over the floor and counters. I know some people put up to 2 dozen eggs. In the medium trays, I find I can only put 18 in them. Otherwise, it's getting too full. I mean, sometimes it could add a little bit more, but for some reason, my freezer doesn't sit level inside here. And then I have these covers I bought, and you can get these from freezedryingsupplies.com. I love these because although it's not required to pre-freeze items to freeze them in the freeze dryer, I like to because it cuts down a great deal on the amount of time that the items are required to be in the freeze dryer, thus cutting down more on electricity because my freezer is running anyway. So this will allow me to stack the trays, so I'll just put another one in there. And I repeat the process till I get 4 of them. So I'll not make you sit through redoing what we just did. I'll go ahead and get the rest of these filled up and then I'll get back with you. Later use. If you raise chickens, you know you get a lot of eggs during the summer and not so much during the winter. And this is a way that we'll have eggs throughout the entire winter. So this is our freeze dryer. It is my Harvest Right. It's a size medium and it holds 4 trays. If we have the older model, we purchased this almost 3 years ago, but the newer models all come with 5 trays. So the first thing we're going to do is turn it on. It takes a minute to boot up. Okay, I don't know if you can see it for sure, but it says Harvest Right loading. Okay, so now I'm at the main menu and it says Customize or Start. I'm going to hit Start. And because I have not upgraded mine, it still asks if it's pre-frozen or not frozen. Although it's not required to be frozen, I like to pre-freeze everything because it takes much less time in the freeze dryer to complete. So I'm going to hit pre-frozen. And now it's going to cool to 32 degrees. It takes about half an hour and then it will prompt me to go ahead and load the food. I'm going to shut the camera off and come back when it's ready. Okay, I know you can't see it on the monitor, but it says it is ready. This freeze dryer is working correctly. The refrigeration condenser may turn on and off. until you load the food and press continue. Load food into freeze dryer, close drain valve. So once I get it loaded, this is the eggs frozen in the tray. Here's 2 of them. I checked my bucket underneath to make sure it's empty of water from the last time. Make sure the hose is in the bucket. And the reason you want to make sure that's empty is so it doesn't suck up that moisture back into your freeze dryer. And it was open, so I'm closing it. Okay, I've closed it. I'm going to grab the other 2 trays, and I'll be back in a minute. Cool. Okay, now I just hit continue. The vacuum pump will come on and off as necessary when it's ready. For right now, it's going to continue freezing and get it to sub-zero temps. Right now it's 12 degrees. So that will fluctuate. This process takes approximately 24 to 36 hours. A lot of that depends on if it was pre-frozen or not, which it is. And it also depends on the humidity. In the summertime, it takes much longer because the humidity is so high here in southern Missouri. So I'm going to let this go, and we'll be back tomorrow. It'll be just a moment for you. It'll be on the same video. And we will show you what they look like and how to finish preparing them. Okay, we're back. It's been about 36 hours. I tested it last night when it shut off, saying the process was complete and there was still a little bit of moisture. So I did increase it so I wouldn't have to get up in the middle of the night by 12 hours. And so it is the following day, so a day and a half since I put them in there. And this is the moisture meter that I use to test if there's any moisture in it. So I just let the vacuum off. It does say process complete. Open drain valve. Well, I already opened the drain valve. And at this point I can defrost, add more dry time, which I did last night, or warm trays because they're very cold when they. So let me check here. The trays are pretty warm. I'll turn on my moisture meter. And it does show 0. I don't know if you can see that up there. Oh, now but it shows 0 like that if there's no moisture in it. Last night, there was a little bit of moisture in it. And it was where it was thicker. So these all look okay. Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so we're good to go. I don't see a brand on here. It just says moisture meter. And then again, it has a cover to protect the prongs. And then when I'm doing it, I just press the red button. So now it's off. You want to make sure it's off so the batteries don't go dead. So I will meet you back in the kitchen and show you the next steps that I do when I'm freeze drying eggs. So I take these trays out one at a time because it will start pulling in moisture from the home, and we don't of course want to do that, so we want to process as quickly as possible. So if you look in the tray, you can kind of see it's really dry and cracked. So what I'm going to do now is put it in the blender and make it into a powder. So excuse the noise. And yes, I sometimes drop little pieces and make a mess. I usually do about half a tray, 1/3 to 1/2 of a tray in the blender at a time. Otherwise it's just too much and it doesn't seem to handle it. But I don't have a real expensive blender either. Let's try that. And then I just pulse it. Oh yeah, it helps if I turn it on. Grab a spatula. I always tap the top because otherwise a lot comes off and I'm wasting it. And then as you can, I don't know if you can see, it's into a powder. And then for really long-term storage, you would put this with a oxidizer packet to keep the air out and the moisture in a Mylar bag. But I'm putting this today in a medium-term storage, which will last a couple of years in sealed jars. Okay, so once I have the jar filled, I just put the lid on. Then I have a vacuum sealer, a small handheld vacuum sealer. The brand I have is NutriSeal. I haven't found this brand on Amazon, but I have found other brands that look exactly like it. So I have a feeling maybe they were sold, the company was sold to the other brands. So it's very easy. I have it, the set comes with both a wide mouth and a regular mouth cap for sealing. And since I'm using wide mouth jars, of course I'm going to use the wide mouth cap. So you want to push it down and make sure that it's level all the way down, all the way around. And then just put the little part on top here and push the button. And that's all you do. You'll kind of hear it changing sounds. And it doesn't take as long with the full jar as it does with 1/2 empty. So every time I open this to use it, I'm going to reseal it with the vacuum sealer. And that will keep it fresh. And now it's sealed. That's all there is to it. Okay, so the last way I'm going to show you how to preserve eggs is to break them into silicone cupcake trays. Ooh, that filled it to the top. These are low ones. And then I'll put these in the freezer. And before I get going any further, I better remember to get them out a cookie sheet to put them on. Because once they're full, they'll flex. Oh, man. And the silicone will make it easy once they're frozen to just pop them out. I'll show you that when we get that far. Okay, I just broke a bad one in there and had to clean it out. So that just reminds me I need to have a little carafe to break them in individually before I pour them into the container. And you should always do that if you're mixing more than one egg in something, just to make sure it's good. And I know better. I just didn't heed my own advice. It's also good to make sure that there are no shells. If you have shells in it, it's easier to get it out of this. Okay. It's a baby size egg. The thing I like about this method is when the chickens are not laying or they're molting, this gives me an option of a whole egg versus freeze drying where they'd always be scrambled. Those are just about the right size for each egg, too. That little one didn't fill it up, but it'll pop out easy. So my chickens are barred rocks and Easter eggers, and they typically lay medium eggs. So for these small silicone muffin pans that are not the full height as some pans, it would not accommodate a large egg. Oops. Lost my crack spot. There it is. Again, these are from our own chickens. Nice bright orange yolks. And because I had one bad one, I'll need to go back and find one more egg. But I will bring you back when I've completed this. And well, there you go. Preserving eggs 3 ways. Please leave your comments below, any questions you might have. By preserving the eggs in the 3 ways we did, you have ways for both quick storage, long-term storage, and medium-term storage with the glassing eggs. Water glassing eggs will last up to a year or even a little more. In the freezer, up to 6 months. And freeze-dried in the glass jars, a year or 2 easy. And if you put them in Mylar bags, up to 25 or more years. So, thanks for watching. Jimmy Branch Homestead.